The Haunting of the Duncan. The Smith family had always dreamed of moving to New York City. They had saved for years, and finally, they had enough to make their dream a reality. They found the perfect apartment in a sleek high-rise building with all the amenities they could ask for. They were over the moon with excitement as they moved in. However, things started to take a strange turn from the very first night. The family would hear strange noises coming from the walls, like scratching and scurrying. They brushed it off as just the sounds of the busy city and the settling of the building. But the noises only grew louder and more frequent. The next few weeks were filled with strange occurrences. The family would find objects in their apartment moved from where they had left them, doors opening and closing on their own, and their electronics turning on and off without any explanation. The parents tried to keep it together for their children's sake, but it was all too much. One night, they heard a voice calling out to them from the walls. It was a raspy, guttural voice that seemed to whisper their names. The family huddled together in terror as the voice grew louder and more sinister. Suddenly, the power went out, and the entire apartment was plunged into darkness. The family was paralyzed with fear as they felt an entity taking control of their home and their minds. It was a force beyond anything they had ever experienced, and it was relentless in its pursuit of them. They felt its power as it invaded their thoughts and forced them to do its bidding. Days turned into weeks, and the family was trapped in a nightmare from which they could not escape. They were under the control of the entity, and it seemed to grow stronger with each passing day. The children were especially affected by its power and would often be found staring into space as if under a spell. The entity would force the family to perform bizarre and terrifying rituals, and they were powerless to resist its will. It seemed to be feeding on their fear, and it reveled in their suffering. As the family was consumed by the entity, they began to question their own reality. They couldn't tell if what they were experiencing was real or if they were trapped in a never-ending nightmare. They were losing their grip on sanity as the entity took control of their lives and drove them to the brink of madness. In a final act of desperation, the family sought help from a paranormal investigator who specialized in exorcisms. The investigator arrived and immediately sensed the presence of a dark entity. The family was in for the fight of their lives as the entity was more powerful than anything the investigator had ever encountered. After a grueling battle, the entity was finally exorcised from the apartment. The family was free from its grip and could finally start to heal from the traumatic experience. They never forgot the horrors they faced in their dream apartment, and they never returned to the building again. Despite the rumors and legends surrounding the building, a new family moved in, eager to start a new chapter in their lives. At first, everything seemed perfect. The family was overjoyed to finally have the apartment of their dreams. But it wasn't long before they started to notice strange occurrences. Doors would slam shut on their own, shadowy figures would flit across the room, and they constantly felt like they were being watched. The family tried to ignore these strange happenings, but they only grew more frequent and intense. It was only a matter of time before the family realized they were not alone in their dream apartment in New York City. The entity that once terrorized the previous family had returned, stronger than ever, and it was now their turn to face the terror that lurked within the walls of the building.